Lightning followed by heavy rain. Only the light of the torches served as a guide for young Elle as she traveled the long secret hallway she had discovered when she accidentally dropped the books from the bookshelf on their library. She did not know why she was doing this, she just knew she had to answer the questions that bothered her every night. She remembered her life back then. Ever since the death of her grandfather, who was her remaining guardian, Elle has learned to stand on her own feet. One day he received a letter from a man named Lazarus, suggesting that his late grandfather had instructed him to take care of Elle by the time he disappeared. Due to the difficulty of Elle's condition, she wasted no time and quickly packed her belongings. Attached to the letter is a map to the location of her new home. Before leaving their town, Elle bid farewell to her childhood friends and the neighborhood, and said she would visit there if she had the chance. Elle traveled using the map attached to the letter. Elle was surprised because the map took her into the middle of the forest. Elle stopped in her tracks because someone seemed to be following her. She looked around but saw nothing. In the middle of the acanthid forest she found high walls surrounded by thick vines. It did not look nasty, it even seemed to serve as a decoration that was pleasing to the eye. The small part of the wall opened. Elle backfired in shock. There was no door when she looked at the whole wall earlier. How did an old man come out of there? There was a hint of fear on the girl's face, but it eased a little as the old man smiled at her. "Are you Lazarus?" Elle said, frightened. The old man nodded and told him not to be afraid. She followed the old man and the secret door opened again. Even though she was scared, Elle still followed the old man. Elle's jaw dropped to see the huge Gothic manor. It was color black and old with huge windows and towering towers around it. She wondered how come there was a gigantic manor in the middle of the forest. Out of amazement, she just ignored the questions in her mind. "This will be your new home. Do not be afraid because this is where you really belong." Every word Lazarus utters only adds to Elle's questions in mind. As she walks, Elle studies the whole mansion. It is divided into 3 parts. On the left side, it is noticeable that the huge windows are open, but on the right side everything is closed. Multiple questions bothered Elle, but she only kept it in her mind, because she was occupied, throughout her amazement on the manor. They walked into the central part of the manor. The huge door opened. There was grand staircase and beautiful chandeliers. The interior color of the manor is scarlet and black. It looks like the things inside were also expensive. For some unknown reason, Elle felt something strange in her body. She couldn't figure out what it was, but she knew she had just felt it, just right now. When she turned to Lazarus, she was smiling. "Are you okay, Elle?" he asked. The girl nodded and told him to continue the tour. They went through a very large room with a long table with lots of fancy chairs around. "At table time, you will be summoned here to eat and meet the people here in this manor." Elle just nodded. Lazarus took her around the garden, library, sewing, toilet and other rooms. While Lazarus was busy explaining, Elle felt eyes staring at her. He looked around and saw a man hiding from a large pillar. He grinned at Elle. Elle planned to ask Lazarus whose it was, but when she looked at the man, he was no longer in his place. "Only up to here I can take you around. Tonight you will meet other people living here. Remember that you can never go to the right side of the manor, and you cannot go to the left side unaccompanied. Is it clear?" Surprised, Elle nodded. Lazarus took him to her room and bid his farewell to Elle. It was too much for one person. There is a wide bed in the middle. He thanked Lazarus and instructed her to lock the door. Elle smiled because now she can lie down on a very soft bed. She saw a huge TV. This is the first time she can use such TV. She only had a small one before and it's black and white. She lay down on the bed with a sweet smile on her lips, but it slowly disappeared when she remembered the questions bothering her mind. Who is Lazarus? Why she was entrusted with him? Who are the people with her in this manor? Why is she mocked by a man who did not identify himself before? Why is it forbidden to go to the left of the mansion? With so many questions bothering Elle, she fell asleep thinking about the answers. Elle woke up by a knock on the door. It was a maid based on its clothes. The maid tell her to go down and eat. Elle nodded and asked for a minute. She changed her clothes into a simple white t-shirt and denim pants. She had lost her tract. It's her 18th birthday today. She only remembered it when he saw the gift given to her by his late grandfather. He told her to open the gift on his birthday, so she opened it today. She saw a box, and inside of it was a very beautiful necklace. It was a small red diamond, which when struck by a light, it shines brightly. She stared at it for a long time, and it seemed to change color, from scarlet to black and back to being red. She put it on and went to the table. As she went down the stairs, she felt something running through her body again. This time she felt it more, her body seemed to get stronger. She made his way to the table, and there she saw some people sitting. They laughed around, but everyone stopped suddenly when they feel her presence. She replied an awkward smile to them. They smiled, a warm smile that shows acceptance. They introduced themselves one by one. Elle stopped to the man named Damien. She remembers that it was the same man who grinned at her when Lazarus giving her a tour. Others introduced themselves. Out of respect, Elle also introduced herself. The full attention of the people there was on him. For the first time she felt acceptance and respect. Elle smiled after introducing herself, and they happily shared a meal at the table. Past midnight when Elle can't sleep, thought of going to the library to read. She likes to read before going to bed, because she believes that she can bring the scenes from the book to her dreams. When she reaching some books, she accidentally fell out of balance. She tried to hold into books but failed. While bearing the pain she was shocked when a bookshelf suddenly moved where he pulled some books. The bookshelf moved up and a door slowly appeared. She turned around to see if anyone else was there, but she did not see anyone. She looked at the door and tried to open it. It was no longer locked, so she pushed the door in. The long hallway showed up to him, with only torches around. There's a strange presence pushing her to enter the secret hallway. Unknowingly, he took a torch and slowly crossed the dark alley. Lightning followed by a heavy rain. Only the light of the torches served as a guide for young Elle as she traveled the secret hallway she had discovered when she accidentally dropped the books on the library. She did not know why she was there. All she knew was it might answer the questions that troubled her. Slowly and cautiously she walked. She stopped when she found a door again. There is no other way. This is her only choice. The girl's heartbeat increased. She felt again the strange feeling that flowed through his body. It seemed to strengthen her even more. She slowly opened the door. It created a soft noise. She was surprised to see everyone with him in the house. Lazarus, Damien and others. Even the maids earlier were also here. But there was a very big difference in their appearance. They all wear a black outfit. Their skin was very pale. What even more frightening were all of them has a fangs. Elle felt terrified. She thought she was safe in that manner, but she seemed to be in a fortress of monsters. Elle stepped back due to fear, but she can't move her body, because seems like there was a force that stopped her from moving. Elle, our queen, welcome home. Damien said. The young man slowly smiled and approached her. He took her right hand and kissed it. We have been waiting for you for a long time. Now that you are here, you can lead us. Elle stared into Damien's eyes. She drowned in them as if she didn't want to take her eyes off him. Elle's necklace shined so brightly. She felt a strange warm feeling inside her body, as if something wanted to escape from her body. Elle cried out in pain. She saw Damien's smiles widened. Black smoke enveloped Elle. When the smoke disappeared, Elle feels differently. From the soles of her feet up to the strands of her hair, she felt the something change in her body. Her skin was pale. She used to have a white, but now she is even whiter. She walked to a large mirror. She was so surprised to see that her eyes were in a different color now, and she was also had a fong. She tough, the people she hated in the past, the people who were monsters in her eyes. The people she thought could only be read in books and only be seen in movies, she was one of them after all. That's why no one was there when the sun was high. That's why the huge windows were closed. The selected part of the mansion are forbidden because of their secret. That's why. She was indeed one of them after all. They are all vampires. And she was the queen.